Well, today is August 10th. Today is going to be a very exciting reviews for everyone to enjoy. As you know, I've been following what's been going on with Stardom with the 5-star Grand Prix, and guess what? I finally got to review day 3 and day 4. I have to say there were some pretty good matches that I enjoyed a lot. But speaking of tournaments, we will continue with more on the New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1. I have to say there's a lot of good stuff that come out of this one as well. I don't know what it is about tournaments, but I love it. But we cannot forget, as of today, it's Wednesday night, and we all know what that means. That means it's AEW Dynamite. Quake at the Lake, I have to say, is going to be a fun time in AEW. But also, we cannot forget some news updates, as you know what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, we'll continue on with more of the Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. As you know, we continue with day 3. So, this is only day 3 by itself. I'll do day 4 by itself as well. So anyway, our opening match, we coming from the Red Star block, we have Koguma versus Saki Kashima. Now, you know Koguma's way. She is always trying to get her opponents to do the bear dance. Well, that doesn't work with Kashima. You know Kashima. She doesn't play that type of game. But you know Koguma, how she is known as the high-speed genius. She always finds a way to win her match until she put the Kuma roll. 1, 2, 3, it's over. So she wins this match. So I believe at the moment she has about two wins and no losses. So far she has total points of 4. So I have to say it's pretty good. But as for Kashima, well, this is her first match in the block, but she only has 1 loss in this one. So this is the only match she had so far, from my understanding. Now going to the Blue Star, we have Hanan versus Mayu Iwatani. As you know, this is a Stars showdown. I was surprised that Hanan made a beeline right away to Mayu to attack her in order to see if she can get an advance. But come on, this is Mayu Iwatani we're talking about, the ace, the icon. You know, that's one of the things I think Hanan should understand. But I have to say she did play up a pretty good way to go first and try to see if she can win the match. But however, when it comes to Koguma with Mayu Iwatani, you know it's impossible to beat her until she applied this German suplex to give her the win. So yeah, so I believe right now Mayu has 1 win and 1 loss with 2 points, and Hanan has only 1 match in this one, so she only has 1 loss so far. So that's pretty much it. Now, we have our next match is a gauntlet tag match. Our first match, we have Stars consistent of Momokogo and Saya Iida, and their opponents are none other than their longtime rivals Oda Tai, consistent of Rina and Ruka. I have to say it was a pretty good match because it showed how much Momokogo and Saya Iida can get along. As you know, they have teamed up in the past, but I have to say they have to be on their A game right now, because coming up in New Blood, those two will be teaming up against the members of God's Eye, and against Mai Sakurai and Linda. But I have to say it was a pretty good one, but it was Saya Iida who picked up a good one on this one, so that means they won match number 1. Match number 2 is the other members of Queen Quest. We have Miyu Amasaki and Ina. Now, these are basically the rookie team, but you probably would have guessed right now that I was surprised. I would have assumed that somehow it was going to be Queen's Quest that walked out as the winners. But no, somehow Saya Ida and Momoko got walked out as the victors. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. But unfortunately, they had to face against the dominating group of DDM, consistent of Mai Sakurai and Himeka. Now, keep in mind, Momokogo hasn't forgotten what happened in day one of the 5-star Grand Prix, where she lost to Mai Sakurai, and she'll be confronting her at New Blood with her tag partner named Linda from another promotion. This is one of those days where you know it's not going to be good. However, it was Mai Sakurai who picked up the win, but their opponents is none other than, of course, Cosmic Angels, or should I say, mostly Pink Kabuki, Mina Shirakawa, and Unagi. And I always like to say this is one of those matches where, like, you know that Cosmic Angels are in a good momentum. As you know, they have won many matches for since last month. Ever since Natsupoi has joined the team, things have been looking good for them. But it was, of course, you know, Mina Shirakawa who picked up the win with the glamorous driver onto Mai Sakurai, giving them the win. Now, our next match is just a simple tag match. We have Queen's Quest, consistent of Utami Hayashida and Azumi, taking on the members of God's Eye, Ami Sodi and Sudi. Now, keep in mind, Utami and Sudi has a bit of long history. These two ladies have faced each other time and time again for the red belt. But this time, this match was evenly matched with both sides. No pinfalls, no submission. Everything were going great until they reached their 15-minute mark. I have to say, it was very impressive. I know here in the United States, we don't like time limit draws, but that's how it works in Japan. Now, our next three matches, I was surprised, is the Blue Stars block. Our first match, we have Mirai versus Natsupoi. Now, this is a very much interesting matchup for me. Reason is, these two ladies, if you remember correctly, they were part of DDM. So this is how we're now seeing. We're looking at these two ladies who are making a name for themselves now since leaving DDM. Mirai, as you know, she is the winner of the Cinderella tournament, so she's calling herself Cinderella Mirai. And as for Natsupoi, as you know, her revolution has begun. Now, this is not the first time these two have confronted each other. As you remember, a few months back in April, they confronted each other in the semifinals for the Cinderella tournament that led to Mirai to win. So this is where now we're going to say, can history repeat itself for Mirai to beat one more time Natsupoi, or will Natsupoi's revolution will be exciting? Well, I have to say it was pretty good. Now, no matter what Natsupoi did, she tried to put out on the fire that she needs in order to win, but I was surprised she was able to pull off the fairy blink on Mirai. 1, 2, 3, it's over. I'm like, whoa, that was pretty much amazing. I say this is really a very interesting win. Now, keep in mind, this is Natsupoi's first match. Now, she did not participate in the opening rounds in the tournament, but she did participate in tag matches in those days. The first one was the Gauntlet with Tam, which they won, and of course, her teaming in day 2 with Kairi. But now, I have to say, really impressive. So she won against one of the strongest competitors in Stardom. So, wow, pretty amazing. Now, our next match, well, these two ladies know each other too well. We got Starlight Kid and Azuki. Now we got a bit of the reverse deja vu. If you guys remember correctly, Azuki used to be a member of Oda Tai, while Starlight Kid was a member of Stars. So now we had the switcheroo. Azuki's with Stars, Starlight Kid's with Oda Tai. But I think this has played a lot of psychological warfare in this type of event because, as you know, Starlight Kid is one of the most popular wrestlers and she can actually win matches. But unfortunately, she tried to weaken the leg of Azuki, but it was her moment when she applied the senton dive onto Starlight Kid to win the match. So she actually picked up a good one. Now, as for our next match, our main event, this one is a very interesting. It's more like months in the making, as you know. Two former friends, now enemies, facing off. We got the former leader of Queen's Quest, now member of Oda Tai, Momo Watanabe, taking on Sayakami Tani. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. these two ladies hasn't forgotten what happened. As you know, Kamitani always looked up to Momo, but now it's the time for that is over. But this time it feels like Saya Kamitani wants to surpass her one-time friend and then mentor. And I think that tells us a lot of the whole thing about this match. I think what I love about it is that Kamitani refuses to give up. No matter how good Momo is, it did not waver. But unfortunately, she ended up in the Phoenix Splash by Saya Kamitani in order to win. So I was like, wow. But however, I did mention in the discussion, there is the possibility what is going to happen if Kamitani can actually pull off break the record of the most title defenses that was held by Momo Watanabe. That's going to be awesome. So I think that's pretty much it right now with day 3. Let's move on with day 4. Alrighty then, day 4 of the 5-star Grand Prix. I have to say this was a very interesting matchup. Our opening match is the Blue Star, of course. We have Mina Shirakawa versus Saya Iida. Now, some of you can say not a big deal on this one. Well, it is a big deal because if you guys know this or not, when Mina Shirakawa first came around, she was trying to compete for the future belt. It did not do so well for her. But now, as you know, Mina Shirakawa has improved a lot, and not to mention adding those kicks into her repertoire, it kind of fit in perfectly. But I was surprised how this match ended. Now, I did mention about the Cosmic Revolution. Well, this one played out pretty well for Mina, giving her the win when she applied the Mina driver, and the glamorous driver, and ended in a pretty good way for her. So she right now, I believe, has the total of 4 points, so she's currently undefeated. As for Saya Iida, she only has 1 win and 1 loss. Now, our next match, we have 2 generational type wrestlers in a way where they are the future of pro wrestling. Hanan of Stars and Saya Kamitani. I think this was a pretty good match because it shows us these 2 ladies are the future of pro wrestling, but they're from 2 different generations. And I was a bit more really trying to figure out how this was going to go, but as I figured, it was going to end up with Saya Kamitani winning. So at this moment, she has about, I believe she has 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. As for Hanan, she has 2 losses so far. Now our next match are from the Red Stars. So we have Mai Sakurai versus Azumi. Now, Mai Sakurai, as you know, she's in a desperation mode. Now, she may have won her first match in day 1, but she would stop at nothing to stop Azumi in her tracks. Keep in mind, Azumi is one of the best high speedsters in Stardom, and that kind of plays out in a good way. But unfortunately, she did not make it all the way through until Azumi applied the C4 bomb on her, and boom! 1, 2, 3, it's over. I believe Azumi has 1 win and 1 loss with total points of 2. As for, Mai Sakurai, 1 win and 1 loss, so she has 2 points. Now our next match is Unagi Sayaka versus Utami Hayashida. I think this match was pretty good because Unagi has faced the toughest competitors in the past, and she's not afraid to go throw down no matter what she does. But unfortunately, it did not go her way because she ended up in a torture rack bomb by Utami, giving her the win. But this was another disappointing loss for Naki. As you know, in day 1 she lost to Saki, and she right now doesn't have any wins at this point. But as for Utami, I believe she has 1 win and 1 loss so far. Now our next match, we have tag team action. We got Queen's Quest, Miyu Amasaki and Hina taking on God's Eye, Mirai and Suri. Now this match, you can say doesn't mean anything, but it was pretty good. I think it was pretty good and showed that these rookies are willing to take on. But unfortunately, Amasaki ended up in the Miramare by Mirai, putting her in that submission, and she had no other choice but to tap. Now our next match is the Red Star block. We have Himeka versus Koguma. Now you know Koguma, how this is going to play out, but fortunately The bear dance did not work. She ended up in a running power bomb by Emika, and she destroyed the bear. Yeah, Emika killed the bear. So that means right now, I believe Himeka has 2 wins and 1 loss with 4 points. Koguma only has, I believe, 2 wins and 1 loss. So they're good for now. Now, our next match, this one is a very interesting one. We have Ami Suri, the big bodyguard of God's Eye, taking on the cosmic fairy, Natsupoi. I thought this match was impressive because it showed the fire of Natsupoi. Keep in mind, Natsupoi wants to bring this revolution to life, knowing that she has to shine as she always did. Now, she would have done everything in her power to outmaneuver a strong person, but the one thing she was able to pull off is the fairy blink that gave her the win. And this is the most interesting part. That is 2 matches in a row she won, but to the same people in the same unit. She defeated Mirai, who's also with God's Eye with Ami Suri. That was like, whoa. No one would have imagined. Now, some of you may question, you think Natsupoi could make it all the way. But I want to be honest. I don't know if she could go all the way. Maybe quarterfinals? Somewhere around there? I'm not sure. But I have to say she will throw in an impressive performance throughout the tournament. There is no denying about that. Now, our last match, we have trios actions. We got Odatai, Rina, Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe to take on Stars, Momo Kogo, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. I thought this match was good because, as you know, the way these guys have been Stars and, Odatai has been portraying, they always hated each other no matter what. But it was pretty impressive that it was Azuki that applied the diving senton onto Rina to give them the win. So I thought it was pretty good. But I have to say, if I have to say between the matches and all of them, I have to say we are seeing some improvements from Mina. I have to say Natsupoi is now bringing that revolution to light. There are still some wrestlers we haven't seen yet, like Julia, Saki, Tam, and a few other. Oh yeah, and Micah. Don't know yet what's going to happen, but we will follow along. We do know the next event, since today is the 10th of August, and over there in Japan it's the 11th, so soon we should be seeing what's going on day 5. There are some good matches that I'm definitely going to enjoy, but will not watch it until it's finally on watchprowrestling.org. So right now, let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, day 15 of the G1 Climax. I have to say, this one was pretty great. However, in this particular day, we're starting to see who is now no longer moving forward in the tournament, despite the fact of their numbers and participating. Now, even if their numbers do not reach the goal, they can still participate, but they cannot advance any further than they normally should be. Now, our first match, we have El Phantasmo versus David Finlay. We have the D Block taking its place. Now, I would have assumed this is going to be one of those matches you definitely would see an upset coming from David Finlay. As you know, he pulled upset with, of course, what was the name? Juice Robinson and Will Ospreay. But no, as you know, Phantasmo finds ways to pull off a victory. But this time, he pulled off a crucifix. So basically that allowed him to win the match. I did not anticipate that, but it was good. Now, let's review how is the numbers, the point system for them. So this is D Block. I believe right now, what's his name? El Phantasmo only has 2 wins and 3 losses, so that's the total 4 points. Finlay, well, he is good. He only has 3 wins and 2 losses, so he has 6. So basically, anything could change. But however, do any of these 2 competitors have what it takes to catch up? Well, we'll just find out as soon as possible. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting one. We got, of course, Great Khan versus Tama Tonga. Now, Kevin Kelly did announce because of Great Khan's participation, he is out of the G1. Despite he's wrestling in the G1 right now, he cannot go any further. So basically, that's how it is. But I have to say, Great Khan really did a number on Tama Tonga with what is, he has an amateur wrestling background, the jiu-jitsu, all the sort of things that would have worked. Now, this is one of those matches for a fact that Tama really is the guy who people want to see move forward to get his revenge on Jay White for his betrayal. So I think that sets it up. But it was, of course, the gun stun that finished off Great Khan and gave Tama Tonga the win. Now as for their point system right now, Tama has a total points of 8 with 4 wins and 1 loss. Khan, well, as I mentioned, he's out. He only has 1 win so far and 4 losses. So he's officially out, but he can still participate no matter what. Now we have C block action. We have a very interesting one. We have Evil versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, Evil does not have great success with Zack Sabre Jr. However, I did not anticipate this match how it turned out. Now, what we thought was Zack Sabre Jr. come out, Evil and that creep Dick Togo show up, attack supposedly Zack Sabre Jr., but turned out to be Kosei Fujita. Now, no one knows what happened, so Dick Togo went to the back, but apparently he got his hand really messed up in the hands of Zack Sabre Jr. Zack really played a really brilliant mastermind. He knows how the House of Torture is. So he choked Evil, but however, they were able to return him. Now, you all seen many times over how freaking Evil, with no remorse, likes to toss his opponents through Kenta Sabi, the timekeeper table. He doesn't care. But luckily, Zack Sabre Jr. was able to evade that and tells the timekeeper, move out of the way, and he got a taste of his own medicine. But the one thing that was really interesting is how he was able to control the match. Now, Dick Togo, he grabbed his legs, his arm right in between his legs, but Zack Sabre Jr. twist his hand. Same thing he did with Evil, tried the low blow, but he pulled the 0 clutch. 1, 2, 3, it's over. So he is good. But I was surprised. He was happy to have Fujita to play decoy. But as soon as the match was over, apparently Evil and Dick Togo went after them. But Evil did say that, it's really messed up to do that. They even told, Evil saying that I cursed you, Fujita, and your children and their children's children. So basically, he thinks that he crossed the line. But Dick Togo did stated how much that he paid him. Well, we don't know. But, of course, I think Zack Sabre Jr. must be warmed up with Fujita. He even tells him, hey, do you think these guys are dickheads? Dickheads. So I thought it was pretty great. Now, here's another topic question. Evil is out. Because he lost this match, he is out of the G1. But Zack Sabre Jr., he is still very much alive. He only has 4 wins and 1 loss. So I'd say Zack is one of those potential wrestlers I could definitely see win the G1. Now, our next match, we have Tom Lawlor versus Kazuchika Okada. This is the first time these two have confronted each other. Keep in mind, Tom Lawlor's dream is to go to Japan. Who would have imagined that one of his opponents was going to be, of course, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker? I didn't expect that much coming from him, but it was amazing. Now, keep in mind, Lawlor has a background in MMA. That's a good tool. Now, Okada, as you know, he has been around the block. He's trained with the best wrestlers in the world, not only in Japan, but also in the States, also in the British, including in Mexico. So basically, he has to use whatever keynotes he has in order to win. But he pulled off an amazing win against Tom Lawlor. But I think he might have respects Tom Lawlor. I'm like, that's going to be interesting to see. So right now, I think Kazuchika Okada, he is currently with 8 points. So he has 4 wins and 1 loss. Tom Lawlor only has 4 points with 2 wins and 3 losses. So he is still a little bit alive, but anything could change here and out. Now for our main event, we have Hiroki Goto and Tanahashi. Now these two have fought each other in the past before. Recently, they even competed for a chance to wrestle at the Forbidden Door. Goto come out, but this is one of those times where we know Goto, he could win the G1. But man, this match was crazy. But there was a moment where Goto's mouth was busted open. I did not anticipate that. But it was Goto who picked up an amazing win against Tanahashi. I think this is more like he always loses to Tanahashi, but he bounced back little by little. But that's what makes him good. So Goto won the match, and I believe right now he has 6 points with 3 wins and 2 losses. As for Tanahashi, I believe he has 6 points, same thing, 3 wins and 2 losses. But anything could change here and out, as I mentioned before. So we just gotta wait and see till we get to the semifinals and then the finals, whatever goes on. So right now, let's move on with AEW. Our last review is AEW Dynamite, Quake by the Lake. I have to say, this was an amazing show. Opened up with the coffin match between Brody King and Darby Allin, but Darby Allin made the initial attack on Brody King just to get a head start. However, things was going in the control of Brody King, tried to annihilate much of Darby Allin, but there was moments where Darby Allin was able to overturn it. But just like we always seen with House of Torture, we also see this with House of Black. Lights turned out. We see Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black right outside of the ring. However, Julia Hart tried a sneak attack. They even tried to decimate Darby Allin. However, Buddy Matthews tried to open the casket, the coffin match, in order to ensure this match ends in their favor, but Sting was in the coffin, takes out Buddy Matthews, and then Brody King. However, he tosses the bat to Malachi. But I did like what JR said. He says, here's a weapon, if use it if you got the balls. Now Malachi Black, he wasn't going to play that game, so he walked out. Even Sting chased after him. But the one thing that was so crazy is how Brody King tried to maneuver the casket for some reason. But the one thing that helped Darby Allin is when he used the chain on him and he tried to choke him out, tried to cut off his air supply in every way possible. But when he let him go, somehow his dead carcass went straight into the coffin and it shut down. It, as JR said, a hole in one. And of course, I thought it was pretty funny, but it was a good, interesting matchup. So I'm like, wow, it was good. But I'm like wondering, what's the storyline with Sting and Malachi? I don't know. This is going to be interesting. Now, as you know, our main event is between Jericho and Moxley. About 2 years ago at this time, if you remember, Jon Moxley defeated Chris Jericho in 2019 at Revolution for the AEW World Title, but Jericho never cashed in on his rematch. But now that is particularly happening, they had strong messages against each other. Now our next match is a tornado tag team match between La Facción Ingobernable, Rush and Andrade, taking on those Lucha Brothers. I thought this match was insane. I mean, a lot of high flying, something that many fans love when they watch Lucha Libre. However, one thing that was amazing is Penta was tied to the ring with his little tail of his mask, but he was willing to sacrifice himself to save his brother. Now Alex Brahamontes brought an extra mask, but apparently it was stopped, but he was taken out by Jose. But of course, Phoenix suffered the bullhorns by Rush, giving them the win. Now, as you know, the Trios tournament is almost coming up. The Bucks decided they wanted to recruit Hangman Page. Now, we don't know for sure if it's going to be possible, but Hangman knew this was going to happen, so he's asking him if they could be their tag partner. Now, as much as he wants to show support to the Dark Order no matter what. So that's kind of like a conflict of interest in some ways. So we don't know yet. Now they are in the tournament, but the real question is, who is in the who will be the third guy. We'll just gotta wait and see. Now our next match, we have Luchasaurus versus Anthony Henry. Now you would say this is going to be one amazing match, but it felt like a walk in the park for Luchasaurus when he took out Anthony Henry. However, Jungle Boy was in the commentary section out of nowhere, but of course Christian Cage once again wants to play games. Jungle Boy tracked them down, but security stopped them as much as possible, but they got their asses handed to them by Luchasaurus. But Pat Buck, one of the producers, got a headbutt by Luchasaurus, and it was really nuts. Now, I don't know what's the consequences of that, but it's going to be interesting. Now, if you guys remember recently, we have been seeing Miro making appearances during, of course, when Malachi Black in the House of Black shows up. Now, it's still unclear what is going on in that front, but we do know he did receive the Black Mist. Julia Hart tells him, that he needs to embrace it, but he did not like that another woman touched him, unless if it's not his wife. But he said he's going to use this little thingy that happened to him as a way to get back at the House of Black. Now, we do get an interview with Powerhouse Hobbs and all this and that. As you know, Hobbs still has his issues with Ricky Stark. It's still unclear why he did it. QT Marshall feels that, that Ricky Starks should have just accepted his offer. So QT made the decision to do it for Powerhouse Hobbs to get rid of Ricky Starks. Now, if you guys remember what happened last week, Jay Lethal did not like the results of what happened losing to Wardlow for the TNT title. So he's demanding another shot. Wardlow comes out, tells him that he was willing to do that, but he was willing to rip off the heads of all three individuals, Lethal, Dud, and Singh. But luckily for him, he had backup, and I don't think any of us expected it. It was FTR. I have to say, this is a good way. You can say of somewhat of a pinnacle reunion, but I wouldn't call it that if that was the case. But it was great, but Lethal got the big ring. So basically, this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you know, I mentioned the main event. The Jericho Appreciation Society, they believe that history will be made, that Jericho once again will regain the title that he lost. But once again, Anna Jay is out of control. Someone needs to choke her out. So she choked out another innocent bystander who was just minding his or her business. But one way or the other, someone's going to choke her out. Now, our next match, we have Aaron Solo versus Absolute Ricky Starks. Now, as you know, this type of match, if you guys understand the history between Solo and Ricky Starks, they were once tag team partners. So it's basically Aaron Solo knows exactly what Ricky Starks is thinking. So basically that sets out. But Cole Carter got caught with the hand in his cookie jar and was ejected out of ringside. But the best moment, Aaron Solo tried to kick off the head of Ricky Starks, but Ricky Stark was able to turn it and spear Aaron Solo to give a win. However, Nick Comoroto tried to decimate Ricky Starks, but failed. Then the entire crew shows up, but Ricky Starks was able to get away and all this and that. So, but Hobbs is not a happy camper that QT Marshall failed. I'm sure he's going to rip off QT Marshall's head off for his failure. Now, as you know, the Gun Club are not in good shape. Billy Gunn was not happy that his sons lost in a match that made famous. If you guys remember the infamous dumpster match back in the 90s in the Attitude Era. However, Stokey Hathaway continues to recruit, and he insults Billy Gunn because he thinks he needs to pass his bedtime. And of course, Danhausen shows up, and they're not happy to see him either. Now, we do see Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends doing their thing, but all of a sudden, Ari Daivari, for some odd reason, he wanted to recruit OC into the Trust Busters. Now, he said the only way to do that is for him to get rid of Taylor and Trent. Now, OC's not going to do that. He is not going to betray his best friends. That's what he does. He cares about them, and he's always by their side. But we could see those three in a match. Our next match, we have the TBS Championship. Madison Rayne making her AEW Dynamite Quake by the Lake debut, taking on Jade Cargill. That match was really amazing. It showed Madison Rayne still got it, but this was a huge challenge for Jade Cargill in every way possible. But Madison Rayne tried to put up the cross rein onto Jade, but it was overturned by Jaded. And then, of course, we did see Athena attack Jade Cargill. Now, keep in mind, Jade Cargill has been ducking her. Stokey Hathaway, who I believe is an idiot, claims there is no money into it. Who cares about that? It's going to be a killer match. But sooner or later, they have to accept this match. And I believe this is going to happen in All Out. And there's nothing Stokey can do about it. Now, speaking of the women's division, once again, this is becoming a very complicated. Thunderstorm are now in a complicated moment. Toni Storm has now jumped at number 1 in the rankings. Now, Toni Storm feels bad about it, but Thunder Rosa knows it. But at the moment, she said, look, we'll discuss this another time. Let's just focus on this other thing. So basically, Thunder Rosa knows this is going to be a difficult timing. But they have to think what's best. We'll get to that at some other time. Now, our main event we have, of course, is the AEW Interim World Championship on the line. Jericho back to his Lionheart ways, taking on Jon Moxley. Oh man, Jericho pulled off the earring out of Moxley's ear, made him bleed and all that. But no matter what Jericho did, tried to submit him, it did not work out the way they hoped. He was like thinking this is going. But Sammy Guevara showed up, handed a weapon to Jericho in hopes it was going to win. When we thought it did not. Judas effects did not help. Nothing. Jericho just didn't know how is he going to put this guy out. He forgets. Moxley has changed since their last confrontation. And of course, he did put him in a chokehold, and Jericho had no other choice but to tap. But Sammy Hagar decided to beat down, and here comes Claudio, Yuta, Ortiz, and Kingston for help. And then here comes Menard and Parker and Garcia, the number games. But the shocking surprise was Punk. So basically, Punk cleaned out house. He took out the entire Jericho Appreciation Society all by himself, because he's trying to tell Jericho, hey Jericho, you lost. Get your ass in the back of the line. Because he knows right now he has one person in his sights, and that is Jon Moxley. Now, there is still no official date when will this match happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if this match will take place at All Out. So we just gotta wait and see. I'm excited. I hope everybody was excited. I have to say it was a pretty good show. So I think that's pretty much it on this. So I believe we should do our last thing, some news updates. Okay, news updates. Now, two different updates coming in from the same subject, Erick Redbeard. First one was coming from Sportskeeda. Erick Redbeard said that he's willing to return to WWE now that Triple H's new mandate is out in effect. But he said that he would return if the opportunity presents itself. Basically, if Triple H says, hey Eric, we want you back. So it would happen. But recently there have been reports coming out that Erick Redbeard was spotted at AEW Dynamite's backstage. Now, it's still unspecified what he was doing there. Now, we have seen him appear in AEW on 2 different occasions. First one was, of course, during the Brody Lee tribute, where he helped the Dark Order win their match, and of course, where he aligned himself with the Death Triangle to take on the House of Black. So those were the only occasions. Now, I know some fans would have assumed that Tony Khan would have hired him, but Erick Redbeard had other things in mind that he'd do, but we still don't know what was the main reason why he was backstage. So it's still unclear at this time, but I will stay on top of this. Hopefully more information comes out. Now, I did mention last time about the NWA 74 for the Burke Invitational. Now, those who don't know what the Burke is, or those who do, so now I'm going to give a refresh to everyone. The Burke is the name of the title of the NWA Women's Championship, currently held by Camille. Now, they're setting up a tournament where we're going to see who's going to make. Last time I mentioned Maddie Rinkowski will be in the tournament, but I received word from Twitter that, of course, Natalia Markova will be in the tournament. Now, this is something I had a feeling it could happen because Natalia Markova does have priorities that she wants to dethrone Camille. So that is something we definitely see. I could see as one of the potential wrestlers that could win the Invitational. Now, for all you Shingo Takagi fans out there, it was announced on Twitter that Shingo Takagi will be making his New Japan Strong debut. I hate to say the date. I really do. 9/11. God damn it. Why do I have to say that? We all know that date, but yeah. So basically, he'll be making his debut at what's it called again? Autumn Action. That's what the event is called. Don't know much of the details what he's gonna do. I know he wants to come back to the States. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in AEW if he does, but we'll see what happens. Now, since we're in August, you may have heard that Prestige has 2 upcoming events in the next 2 months. In September, there's Perseverance. The next one is, Roseland 4, Wake the Dead. Well, for Perseverance, it's been announced for a match. They've been set. We have, of course, Tail Valkyrie versus Dark Sheik. I have to say, this is going to be one hell of a match. I'm a Dark Sheik fan. I love Dark Sheik. She's amazing. But Tail, we all know her resume. We know she is one of the best female wrestlers in the world. I can't wait to see this match. So I think that's pretty much it what we have right now. So let's move on and call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I do have the new season of Choco Pro. I was surprised that it came back after what happened last weekend where we saw the season finale. It would have normally taken 10 days. I don't know why they decided to go short, but it doesn't matter. It's back. It's going to be a bigger one with 4 matches, all of them tag team matches. As you know, since it's Thursday, since it's going to be Thursday, we do got NXT UK and Impact Wrestling. I hope everybody's going to enjoy that. Haven't decided if I want to add another one, but as you know, as we speak, we do have the Stardom, the continuation with more on the 5-star Grand Prix. Almost everyone except for Mina from Cosmic Angels will be participating. This one goes back to Corkin Hall. My understanding, this is going to be a crowded show. Everybody's excited. There are some good matches I can't wait to see. Like there's one where we have, of course, Starlight Kid versus Momo Watanabe. That's going to be interesting. But anything could happen. Now, I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it before I upload the next episode. But we'll just wait and see what happens. But right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.